Hello, welcome back to the Three Yorks live stream with David. And now we're going to go ahead and work on our fifth or sixth stream. And we have new guests coming. Hopefully they show up. But we want to continue this every week on Sundays at 7 p.m. MST time to do an update, a refresh of what we've done all week, the work we've done on the project. And also talk about what we're going to do continuing from here on out, what we're going to do next week, and maybe some future plans. Also, when we have guests on, they'll talk about their campaigns too. You know, what they're doing in their Temple of Elemental Evil campaign, how they're using this material to run their groups through this epic version of the sandbox version of this campaign. Now, I see that a lot of people are still actually waiting to run their campaign, and I know I'm in a hurry to get this material out. Some Dungeon Masters are using my modules I sell in the DM's Guild to run their current campaign right now, and trying to keep up with them on their progress. And also others are waiting to get their group together to start it soon. And recently, we received a lot of new members that came to our Three Orcs Discord. That's been like everybody else has joined that started this whole thing back in the 80s, and they've run the Temple of Elemental Evil many times over the years, and they have a lot of experience running the actual module itself. And I know a few Dungeon Masters in the past have run it beyond the pages. They expanded the scope of the module more than just a dungeon slog. They actually turned it into a campaign, as Gary Gygax intended. You know, and I got to repeat myself every time just in case a new person comes along and watches my video. But he stated in the module and during interviews that this module is based on his campaign, and he has a lot of notes, a lot of pages. And if he was to publish everything about this campaign that he had, the module would be over 1,000 pages, and they would not be able to publish it. So, but then he handed all his work, all his notes to Frank Mencher, and he's the one that actually wrote the module. And interviews since then, Gary's mentioned some of the things that he had in mind. And with a lot of Greyhawk lore experts out there analyzing this stuff to death for 40 years, they come to a lot of conclusions. A lot of blogs were written by Joseph Block, Greyhawk Ragnard, and myself for the last so many years, since TSR days. And we come to some conclusions based on an analysis of existing modules, like the G1 and the G3 module, the Drow, the Q1, and other modules too. And also interviews with Gary Gygax and Frank Mencher. So I put together, in my view, the campaign as intended by Gary Gygax, which is not a modification to the lore. I stick to canon. Then the objective here is to expand. Expansion is everything that is my focus, as he intended, because when he wrote the module, there was only 4 locations in Nob, and he intended for the Dungeon Master to expand it, to add more locations in Nob, just like the Village of Hamlet was done. Village of Hamlet was a good example of what should be done in a module to prepare for a campaign. I did the same thing with all the villages in the area, including Nob. So it's done. It's on World Anvil. It's called the Verbobonc Campaign Guide 576 Common Year, and it's for public use. It's free to use, and I wrote it in such a way that you can use it at your table while you're running the game, and you can link these different articles together to help you run the game and show it to your players. You know, there's a article for every NPC, every organization, every location, every shop, every city, every god, every race. It's all there, and it's all linked together with interactive maps. And so far, there's over a dozen maps that are created on the website you can use, and they're interactive maps where you click on the location like a shop, and they'll take you to that article. So let me check to see if anybody's joined us yet. I don't want to miss anybody here, and I want to make sure we can get them in our stream. So far, nobody's joined us. I had 2 DMs that were currently running the campaign, and they stated they wanted to be on here today. They want to talk about it. I know Randy's one of them, and he's been helping me write these articles from day to day. And he wanted to come on, but he's going to be a little bit late. So I'm going to go ahead and just recap of what we did all week and talk a little bit about the campaign. So that was the introduction. And so let's go ahead and go to the screen where I can show you more stuff and prepare for Randy to join us. So I got Randy. He's in the top right-hand corner, and that's what he looks like. So I got his name ready to go, though. That's just my artwork that I use to create these websites, these articles. Also, I take when a bunch of articles are done, a location's finished and polished and ready to go with NPCs, locations, organizations, and quests, and artwork and maps. Not only do I bundle all that together, but I rewrite it all, condense it, and I sell it on the Dungeon Masters Guild as a module. I've done that for Village of Hamlet, Sheer Knob, and Ostwerk. And right now I'm currently working on Nulb. The leadership of the Temple of Elemental Evil is done. It's on DM's Guild right now. But Nulb isn't. So I wanted to point out something here. I don't know if you guys can hear this. Let me turn it down. So there's a lot of bandits in the campaign. And this is supposed to be a bandit that you see on screen here. This is from that video game called Kingdom Come 2, the newest version that's out right now. It's like 1407 Bohemia. Very realistic medieval game. There's no magic. It's you play a blacksmith's son, and he was killed by raiders. And there's a lot of banditry in this game, just like it would happen in Temple of Elemental Evil. There's a lot of bandits. In fact, the whole campaign starts off with the rise of banditry on the merchant roads. And bandits get hanged like this, and that's the bailiff. And so he's talking to the folk, the townsfolk. This is at the castle. And so he's pointing out a bandit. They're going to hang him. And this is what would happen in the campaign of Temple of Elemental Evil, even in Hamlet. That if the players brought back a guy like this, that's a bandit, because when the campaign first starts, you're supposed to hit them with a bandit raid. And hopefully the players capture some of them, and they bring them back to the village and turn them in for a reward, which is like 5 gold pieces per head, maybe 10 gold, depending on your campaign. So he's not really a bandit. They just think he is. He's really a noble. But this is a good scene of an example of what happens to the bandits and how common it is. This whole game is just chasing around bandits the whole time. They're everywhere. They're all over. Everywhere you go, they're hiding and waiting to ambush people along the merchant roads. Yep, hanged by the neck until dead. So I just want to point that out, that this is a typical scene. Let's go ahead and stop that and show you something else. Okay. There we go. I think we need something else. Oh, I know what we need. Let me go ahead and show you the other one. It's kind of, see if I can find it here. Sorry, it says so many things to click on in this thing. It's hard. Is that it? No, that's a map of the Viscounty. I got that ready to go. I just clicked this off. Oh, there it is. Okay. Sorry. Last week we talked about the Rangers of the Gnarly, and Halagant was a guest, and he created this map, and he created these borders on top of the Anna Myers map, and he created zones for the Gnarly Forest, because I wanted to know, what rough, vague areas of zone of control of the Druids and the Rangers of the Gnarly. So we talked about this all last week, which is really interesting. And I wanted to go over what we did during the week. So during this week, I was focusing on trying to get Nulb done. And so focusing on Nulb to get the module done for the DM's Guild. I'm sure nobody joined us here. Let's see. And I came across a few things I realized that I missed. So one thing I messed up on, which is canon, because I tried to stick with canon, right? Well, it's Tolib, Captain Tolib, and Grud Squint Eye. I don't know why, but I thought that was made by another DM, and so I just changed them to different NPCs. I made him Captain Garrick and Barg. And then I was going through the module, trying to get ready for the DM's Guild, and I was thinking, wait a minute. And I was looking at the module, oh no, they were in the original module, the Temple of Elemental Evil. I can't believe I did that. I spent the last 2 days going over 100 articles changing their names. and changing some of the background and description, because I thought I had to change a lot of it enough to be my writing, and I didn't realize, and I also realized that in the module there is no real description of them, of their history, their background, their personality, what they look like. And so I had, I have to make all that up. Like I said before, this whole entire project is about expanding, not changing, sticking with canon as much as there is available. And real quick about that is, you see all these locations on the map. This is the player's map. Top right hand corner is a link to do DM only locations. So if I click that, let's see, there you go, pops up all the dungeons. See these towns like Penwick, Etterbook, Deschutes Ford, Swan, Far Downs, Nibs Rest, and Sheer Knob, Gallows Corner, Ostfirk, Cron, Humming's End. See all that? Twilight Falls way over there. Those are from Living Greyhawk. Now, the original Greyhawk box set doesn't have these towns. And Hamlet's a good example of back in the day, the expectations is the modules flushed out the area and detailed the land. Like the T1 module detailed the area around Hamlet, just like other modules did, like the U1, U2, U3. There's no information about that area in the box set. I mean, it's vague information, a paragraph of that country, but there's no details of that town that even exists there. So back in the day, that was expectation. You get that kind of detail. Either you make it up yourself, homebrew it, or you get a module, and the module does it for you. So Living Greyhawk did that. From 2000 to 2008, thousands of modules were written for Living Greyhawk. And it was for the timeline starting at 594 Common Year. Well, this campaign, the original module, is supposed to be 598 Common Year. Oops, sorry, I'm on camera here. And but these locations still exist. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what the timeline is. And also, most of these NPCs and all the organizations still exist, most of them. Like the Gnarly Rangers. But but a lot of these didn't exist in the original box set. So this is the whole thing about expanding the campaign thing. I'm doing it for you guys. Well, not just me. The other people are helping out on the Three Orcs Discord and the Patreon. Everybody's working on this stuff and giving me content, and I'm rewriting it and putting it on the website. So, and in these dungeons here are added as well. And it's all associated with the Temple of Elemental Evil. They don't exist in a vacuum. They need supplies. They're constantly actively recruiting. They have to feed their troops. They get slaves, prisoners, undead, fodder, all that stuff. But they learned their lesson. I wrote articles about all this stuff, that they failed the first uprising. Failed. The forces of good rose, put them down after the Battle of Enmity Meadows. Well, they learned their lesson. Uis sent Hedrick, the supreme commander of the Temple of Elemental Evil, to help them rise the second rising. And I have a whole article on that I wrote. So I did a video on this already, the Hamlet campaign plot line. So there's another video I did a couple days ago about this already, this article. You can come to the website and read it yourself. And there's a whole bunch of articles like this that I created. There's a Doomwatch Keep construction timeline. So there's a lot of discussion in Three Orcs Discord. How long it's going to take for that keep to get done, right? That was a pretty legitimate question from one of the Dungeon Masters running the campaign. Make sure nobody's joined us yet. And so I put our heads together and we analyzed real data from the medieval ages, and then included some ideas about magic and what Byrne has access to. He is a first edition wizard, so some of the stuff would have to be modified for 5th edition. But that's the kind of stuff that changes the campaign. So if you have any questions, go ahead and ask them in YouTube, and I can actually answer them for you if you have any questions about any of this. To make sure I can see it. There we go. There we go. Okay, so I put a timeline here. Cursors everywhere. I got these maps, these maps from Scott Agnew of Hamlet Reborn, and he gave me permission to use them. I have maps too from the module, but I like these maps. They're pretty cool. And I did some changes to them. I created that badger, the Burns Badgers, those bandits that they recruited to serve them in Hamlet. That's a whole another article too. So anyway, phase 1, phase 2, see the dates and times here. And even Return of the Temple of Elemental Evil, that module even states that the castle's done by 582 Common Year. Just to let you know, which I didn't know until somebody on the Discord pointed that out. I'm not a big fan of that module. We don't follow any of its lore because it has a lot to do with Thrusden, which we don't follow anymore because of all the investigation we've done, over the years about fixing this campaign to work well as a campaign arc that makes sense to work with the G's, the D's, Q1 and the Q2 module, because Joseph Block wrote the T0 module, the T5 module, which adds a 5th level of the dungeon. That's where the Elder Elemental shrine is. A lot of things happen there. It connects things. And then he wrote the Q2 module, which connects Loth to everything, which as originally intended by Greg Gygax. So he had to fix all this stuff and get it to make sense. It's his version of it, and he put 15 years of his blog and talking to other people like I do, make sure he gets it right and give people a chance to naysay any of the determinations. So I put down assessment of resources. If anybody sees anything wrong with any of this information, I want to point something out, something that I maybe didn't consider, please put that down below or come to our Discord and work with us. We're all collaborating there and talking about this every day, all day long. This is kind of what I do. The key figures that are involved, potential magical support, plot hooks. I was going to do a separate video on this. Now I'm doing it on my live stream. Projected strategy roll for 582 and the key timelines. And then here's another map of Scott Agnew. And it's the road isn't accurate on this map, but the buildings are. It's supposed to be a road between 29 and 31 going past the tents, but it's not on this map for some reason. But I like his drawing of what the keep's going to end up looking like. So, and then benefits, story hooks and stuff. So all the village has a council of Hamlet, and that consists of the elder, Turgeon, Calmert, and Elmo and his father, Zeb. He's the commander of the militia, captain of the militia, and Vernon Rufus. Oh, and Jaru, the druid. So I wrote an article for that too. So you know how after the players met some success, I think I talked about this on my last video. I like to acknowledge that, it moves the campaign forward. So if they come back to the village, like the B2 module, they come back from the Caves of Chaos and they have proof of some success, because everybody at the keep knows why they're going there. Same thing with this module, the T1. All these leaders, all these NPCs in town know why the players are going to the Moat House, because they were directed there. The clues, because the campaign starts off with them messing with some bandits. Hopefully they bring back some heads or some prisoners, and then they start talking to all the leaders in town, and then they start getting clues. And like Turgeon points them towards the Moat House. Maybe they're holed up there. I know they're hiding there. Why don't you guys go find out? The brewer's missing 4 casks. There's a whole bunch of quests. Those side quests I published on the DM's Guild. And also you'll find a lot of that stuff on the World Anvil site too. But so they come back from the Moat House. So that hopefully they've accomplished something, some kind of proof that they did it, that they progressed the campaign further. So they come back with maybe some prisoners or return the casks or something. And so they come back to the village, and now the village, all these people at the village think, okay, these guys are for real. They're not just a bunch of vagabonds. They're not a bunch of bandits pretending to be adventurers. I think we can trust these guys now. I think we should get them involved, and maybe they can help us out some more. Sorry, my camera. I think I keep looking there because I think that's where the camera is on the mirror. I don't know if that's driving you guys crazy or not. Let me check the chat here, make sure nobody's joined us. Nope, not yet. Okay, so yeah, they come back. So I started off, this is flavor text. And that image is that new hall that they built. It's the original canon location in Village of Hamlet. And I created all that artwork there in that room. I created the banner for Hamlet, the 2 acorns. So this first section is flavor text just returning to Hamlet, going past the castle, seeing all the workers. They look up. The guards in the tower look at them. I just added that in case you needed it for any reason. Add some flavor. And see that link right there, Burns Badgers? See how that works? So there's a bunch of DMs out, that comes to our 3 orcs, and they're all a bunch of older guys like me. And they've been running it since the 80s, like me. And, they have their own ways of doing things, pen and paper, graph, hardbound books. And they're not totally comfortable using technology, digital stuff. And I run entire campaigns like Dolmenwood or the B2 module or this campaign using PDFs and World Anvil. Like Dolmenwood, I'll rewrite all the modules, the entire world into World Anvil from the modules because I want to add my Dungeon Master notes. So the old way from the 80s, Dungeon Master notes was a yellow highlighter and a notepad. Well, now the tools are so much more advanced. Look what I can do here. I don't have to go look at the Burns Badgers article. All I can do is put my cursor over it and find out something I need to know real quick as we're role playing. Yeah, you can have 20 tabs open. I do that too. But there's so much. There's over 1,500 articles. Like the article for St. Cuthbert, the article for the Church of St. Cuthbert, the article for Bishop Hoffren, the article for Burns Badgers, Burn, Rufus. You can't have them all open. It's not possible. But you need to access a lot of these as you're role playing. So timing, pace and timing is everything when you're role playing. You want to keep the game flowing so the players don't get bored, especially when you have a dense lore environment like this. And so it's really cool that I just put my cursor over that and you already know what Burns Badgers is, but you kind of don't remember all the details as you're role playing. So you kind of like this. Oh yeah, that's right. That's who they report to. Got it. And so you keep going on the article you are role playing with. So finally, the players get to the end of the welcome wench and just some flavor text of them hanging out there talking about what they just did. Then the next section is the Burns Badgers show up to arrest them. Well, that's what they think initially. So they come in and they get some dialogue here, and basically they escort them to that village hall, and that's where the council wants to hear a report from the adventurers and maybe ask the adventurers to do something for them. And so this list here is everybody on the council, including links to them. And so like Lord Byrne, if something about him you wanted to remember, it's there. And Wilfric too, same thing. So this is whole dialogue and flavor text of the meeting, of the summons. And they introduce each other. And then they ask the adventurers to report. What'd you learn in the Moat House? What do you know? What do you think? What do you suspect? What have you found? So it gives the players a chance to respond and get role play and talk about it. Then if Furnock was with them, I just added this for the heck of it. He could report something. Maybe he reported it earlier. So I got a little bit of flavor text there. Now I get down to the truth of the cult. So this is the meat. So there's a lot of dialogue here of all the council members talking to the players and to each other, commenting, a lot of role playing, a lot of flavor and personality. And so they're basically talking about what's been happening and what help they need, what's going on. And they also admit that they have agents in Nulb undercover because they suspect. So this is the key. And a lot of people don't really get it. The Temple of Elemental Evil exists. Your players know it, but your characters don't know it. So your characters, all they know, and anybody in the entire world, all they know is that the Temple of Elemental Evil 7 years ago rose. They tried to take over the world, and they were put down by the forces of good, and they destroyed the temple. That's it. That's all anybody knows. That's all anybody cares about. It's been peace since then. There's no reason to suspect anything's going on except for the rise of banditry. Now people are starting to suspect, hey, these bandits are a lot more organized than we expected. It's kind of like that Kingdom Come game I'm playing. And we need to find out what's going on, who's behind them. Something's different. And so they also suspect that a lot of this activity is coming from Nolb, the town of a hive of scum and villainy. So they sent a couple of agents there, which is Otis and Canonist DeVay. That's why Canon Turgeon has been taken over the Church of St. Cuthbert. And so they admit to the players that's happening. And so they're just giving them all the lowdown of what you typically would tell the players at this point in the campaign. Then at the very end, I decided to add more. So there's a lot of rumors. This is a big campaign. There's a lot going on. And the way you get lore to the players, lore dumps, is through rumors at taverns or any NPCs they meet. So I took the most important rumors, political ones, world-shaking rumors, the big things that are happening, the big problems happening with the Viscounty and the Gnarly Forest, and I had him kind of comment on those. So this will give the player a bite. Maybe the players will bite on these, because the goal here is not to get the players to know. No, not even close. If you do that, you might as well just say goodbye to your campaign. They're dead, especially if you run this campaign, because it's way, way overpowered. There's extremely high level, really powerful gangs and groups and characters in Nulb, and they will destroy those players. And of course, then there's the temple itself. You really can't go into the temple until you're at least 5th level. Now, if you're playing 5th edition or Pathfinder, I guess things are different. But basically, what you want to do, not just for that reason, but you want to expand the campaign. You want to have more fun. You want them to explore the world more, engage with the world more. And so that's what all these other quests and dungeons are for. You keep them busy doing this other stuff. And so he here mentions them. So hopefully the players get interested. I also have a gnome coming up from Sheernab begging for their help. Their town just got raided by hill giants. The Gift of Beauty's gone. And so if you have a knight if you have a ranger or a druid in your campaign, a ranger knight Wynn will show up. Well, a senior ranger will show up and ask him to track and find the Gift of Beauty that was taken a mile from the border of Selene. And that's huge. It's a massive blow against the forces of good that happened. I won't get into detail of that. But that's a Living Greyhawk module that I converted over to this campaign. And there's a whole bunch of modules that I did that for to expand this campaign. A lot of things are happening, like the political problems with the gnomes in the Green White Valley. All right, so I talk about this in all my videos. Let's go ahead to Trevor's Cottage. We talked about that before in a video before, so we don't have to go over that. It's the staging area for loot for Laura's men, his bandits, at the edge of the fence. Because I was thinking about that. They got storage at the Moat House, and then they need to get this stuff. They're supposed to get this stuff to the Temple of Elemental Evil. That's what the whole idea behind this whole campaign is. Well, that's why they're out there, to loot and bring up prisoners and loot stuff. So I put a staging area, which is a cottage, and then from there they go up the high road to the Temple of Elemental Evil. Well, you can't just walk into the Temple of Elemental Evil, the ruins. That will trip up. That will trigger the attention of the forces of good, like Otis and Canonist DeVay. So there's a secret tunnel, and that's in the module too. That secret tunnel leading out. Well, that's connected to a hunting cabin, and so that's how they get the supplies and prisoners in. They never go through Nob. So the players can discover this. And I talked about that in another video too. And that's the person that runs the cottage there. And he's got a bunch of gnolls there too. 4 gnoll warriors, there they are, guarding it. That's where the prisoners are in that cage. And there's DM only sections here too. The tactics and adventuring, more hooks. I always add adventure hooks to almost every article and NPC in the campaign. Anybody join us yet? If you have any questions in the live stream, please. But go ahead and post it in the comments section here, the chat, and I can answer them for you. Let's see if anybody's with us on our live stream. Yep, we got some people watching. Good. Okay, so if you have any questions, please let me know. So I'm supposed to talk about what we did this week. So let's go back to the main page. And so we talked about that article right there. We talked about Doomwatch. We talked about summons to the council. So let's go to Nolb. So I'm going to find Nolb. So go to Nolb, go to Atlas, by county, and go down to Nolb. There we go. All those towns are done, by the way. And see, Nolb has all these locations, 55 locations in Nolb. I get that you might think that's too many locations, but it's good to have them in case you need them. You don't have to use them all. You don't have to use all the locations, all the NPCs, all the quests. There's hundreds of quests. You don't feel like you need to use them. They're only there if your players express interest, if you think you need them, if your players are going in that particular direction. If they're going to Twilight Falls for some reason, or you want to drag them in that direction, or the Wild Coast, or divers. Okay, so I think we're going to go to the first location number 4. Well, let's look at the map. The map's more fun. So everything's an interactive map. I don't know if you guys are all aware of all the map features here, but I know some of you are. So this is an interactive map of Nolb, created by me. And a couple things I wanted to point out. That's right. A big announcement today. I finished 2 huge articles today. We'll get to that in a minute. So Emerridge Run flows north to the Velverdiver River through the Fens of Tor. It's not navigable past this bridge. And then there's the bay, and then there's the docks. There's trails going through the Fens of Tor here for your own use, or for quests or something. There's a wrecked ship here for your own use. These great, cool things you can think of. There's the Fisherman Hut, another one. And here's the docks. There's a lot of activity on the docks. So the only people that really come here to do illicit trade are pirates and bad merchants. They come to Nolb, and they inadvertently or on purposely support the Temple of Elemental Evil. And everybody here is supporting that, or against their will even. They're still supporting the Temple of Elemental Evil. So this is truly a hive of scum and villainy. Very dangerous place. These are battlegrounds. Make no mistake. There's a lot of fighting here. Unless they come in incognito and pretend to be a pirate. Even then, they can still get into trouble if you run these locations right. So the VTT maps are available for location 4, Boatman's. Location 1, Waterside. I don't have an individual map for the marketplace, but I'm sure might be some combat there. The docks will probably be combat. This place, that's where the brothel is. It's a gated compound. And I'm just finishing up the map for Baroness's Manor. This is the nicest building in the entire town. And there's a whole background for Lady Nacera. Her family lost their title on lands during the Battle of Emerald Meadows. They were discovered to be helping the Temple of Elemental Evil. So she escaped to here and trying to become a lady again and take over this town. And her retainer is with her at night. There's the graveyard, another possible battleground. I think the river's flowing 20 feet per round. So if you guys want to comment on that, that'd be cool too. Okay, so let's go to Boatman's. Click it once, side article. Scroll to the bottom if you want. There's no artwork. Well, there is artwork on this version of the article. It has to be in this section. But if you want to see the whole article, you click on read full article. Okay, Boatman's. So people staying here, quite a few people are staying here. So I gave you guys a tavern menu. And all the stuff's on my Patreon, and high resolution versions are available too. There's the map. So about the VTT map, the inside's good. I don't know what else. I made this map a long time ago. This is one of my first maps, about 6 years ago. And I didn't put the docks at the backside. See where the water is? I put it too far away. Because I was going based off of an old map when I made this map. I thought the water was further away. But then when I made the other map, I put the docks like right up against the building. So, sorry. I didn't really want to. And that's another. And that map is a different app. It's a different mapping application. I don't use that app anymore, so I don't even have the original file. So I put flavor text everywhere. So when you first get there, Skull will speak to the players, adventurers, as they first get there. So that's cool. And this DM section only, more adventuring hooks, about the pirates, pirate behavior, all that kind of stuff. So let's see, where is that at? So this is Boatman's Tavern. There we go. So characters on location on the right-hand side. Any questions yet? Nope. See if anybody joined us. Gotta check this app here. Okay. So Tulib, Captain Tulib, and Grud is now normal. They're back to. And I added this quest. So I'm gonna right click. So you can open up these as separate tabs too. I open up separate tabs an article I'm gonna use a lot. And I'm not just gonna hover over it because I know I'm gonna use this article quite a bit. So I changed his name. He's all back to normal again. I named his boat the Iron Dagger. And he's got some dialogue and stuff. And so what I added for him, sorry, I'm gonna scroll. Yeah, I thought so. On the bottom is the DM section of all these quests and things like that, and his treasure and his tactics. A lot of information here, a lot. So this will really help you flush them out. At the very bottom is a whole bunch of quests under spoilers. See, level 3 quest. Then you got the level 3 and 4 quest. And then you have the elf quest, level 3, with dialogue and flavor text. Look at experience points. I can go on for hours. So let's go back. You can look at this stuff too. You don't have to have me show it to you on stream because you can easily follow along. Okay, right-hand side. This is something I did a couple days ago. When you first meet Captain Tulib for the first time, the players get there into the tavern. I have an introduction. And so this is a bunch of gritty dialogue of him challenging the players when they first get there. So, you can ad-lib it. You don't have to use it. Give you an idea what he's like, right? He belongs to the river. He's the head of the River Pirates. The River Pirates is an organization of pirates that I put together for this area. And this is all the pirates that come to Nob. And the crew, he's got 30 pirates under him. He's got quotes and stuff. So what I wanted to do was just mention that I just redid him, and I also redid Grud. I redid Grud's artwork. I like this artwork better than the one I had before. That's definitely him. I need to get rid of the iron jaw because I gave him an iron grill over his mouth, prosthetic. But I changed him back to this again. All right. Any questions? Nope. So yeah, I just gave him some new artwork, and I think that's a lot better. And he got some quotes and stuff. Okay, so now about the big thing I wanted to announce, talk about. So let's go back to, that's the quickest way to go back. Yeah, see that you can go to the front page by linking that. The front page has a interactive map of the Viscounty. But I think if you scroll down, on the right-hand side is all the maps. So I'm just going to go to the map. It's faster. So Nob is right there. Yeah. So I didn't put the Wren folk. I created a couple articles for the Wren folk. So the best way to do that. Sorry, I'm thinking the best way to get there. I don't know what I'm doing. Let's see. Let's go start over again. Go back to Nob. It's in the main article. I know I put it there. I haven't added the Wren folk to the map yet. That's why I'm hesitating. I'm trying to think the best way to get there. I know I put it in the main article from Nob. So okay, back to Nob. Sorry. Is it listed here? The dirty faces. Okay, where's Nob? There's Nob. Okay, so we're looking at Nob. So flavor text when you first arrive at Nob, again, That's the lady in Nasara I was talking about earlier, that big mansion. I'm working on a BTT map. I'm almost done. I'm on the second level right now. So if I scroll down to the bottom, there we go. Related plots. Organizations. Okay, so there's a quest here I made today. I also made the Return of the Temple, Hadrax Gambit, and Laris Insurgency, but I don't want to talk about that now. We're going to talk about the quest for Daughter of the Riverwind. All right. So we had this big discussion all week. I guess I missed. There's a big following of the video game, the Temple of Elemental Evil RPG game from the 80s and 90s. And Serena was one of the major characters at the brothel. And you can actually recruit her. She's a 3rd level thief. And you go, hey, where's she at? We want her in the game. I said, oh, okay. So I looked into it. I found out the game doesn't have a lot of depth and lore to it compared to this. Very limited information. It took me a couple days just searching, analyzing the dialogue in the game. And it wasn't really made clear that she was Ren. So I made her Ren folk. And I have the whole article for Ren, by the way. They're mostly boat people, but not all of them. So if I scroll down to past the Seaborn, you have the Landborn. And so I was thinking about the quest, and just thinking, as a writer, how to make this the more interesting. Originally, I was going to have them on a boat, and get into trouble with the pirates, and then the players can get involved. Well, then I thought, hey, you know what? Maybe I'll do the land one. That'd be more interesting. So what I did was I created a quest, and it involves her being kidnapped. And so this is the quest article. So it's all laid out like that. Investigation phase, resolution and rewards, optional reward, and then a whole bunch of dialogue down below. So the dialogue will help you role play this scene, including the divination scene by the leader, the soothsayer, the gypsy fortune teller. And I created a tarot card, and I created a couple different images of her. So that's her normally with her family. And then this will be her at the brothel after she's been kidnapped as prisoner. So I don't have a stat block for her yet. But so anyway, basically, daughter is gone, taken. The land steals people in the dark. So the adventurers speak with Eric Velcori at his camp, you'll find the broken man nurses bruises and shame. So he tells the whole story about how I don't remember the end. We woke up at the docks, blood in my mouth. Serena was gone. So they took her. And so this is the way for the Temple of Elemental Evil is ultimately behind all things. But directly, the leader of the brothel and the pit, and also the brigand gang, and also Skull of boatmen's, they're all kind of responsible for this. It was a setup. And so this is a way to control this Ren group. So this Ren group, they're land Ren, and they make a living, or they live life traveling between the Wild Coast, up and down the Wild Coast, through the gnarly forest, up to Divers, into the Viscounty, and and back and forth is that general area. And so they get around, and they make a living as gypsies do. They do labor, repair things, trade, just make a living. And they only stay in certain areas more than 3 or 4 days at a time. And so they really get around. And they're a great resource for the Temple of Elemental Evil, because sometimes this group will fall under the radar of the elves of the gnarly rangers, the woodsmen, the mounted borderers, any kind of guards and things, so they take advantage of this. So they want to control them, to make them do things for them, to bring them slaves and loot. And so that's why they did this. And you can follow along here, but let's go ahead and look at the main article. So this is, I don't know if I'm right or not. You guys should tell me. I called it House Vicori. It doesn't really say in any of the lore, the Living Greyhawk lore, if a land family is labeled a house. I know it's not clan, so I don't know. I asked in Discord today, but nobody answered. Or maybe they just call it a family. So that's why I labeled the article. So anyway, that's their camp. And it's the location here, introduction. Oops, what's going on? And I added a little brief history and lore of their culture so you can understand them a little bit better. They do smuggling, spying, illicit arts, fortune telling, things like that. That's the leader, Vethra. They call her Old Eyes. And she has dialogue too for the players. She'll actually have a reading for the players, read their fortune. That's where the tarot card comes in. Camp. So they're camped along Pilgrim's Way. You know, that's lore, by the way. Did you know the name of the road going to the Temple of Elemental Evil is now called Pilgrim's Way? I think they named that during the Living Greyhawk era. I don't know if it came from the video game. All right, so beyond that, activities, this is what they do, their activities. And they also watch the temple. So they're aware of Kenan Belsornig. Belsornig is the high priest of the water temple. And their politics and perceptions. They deal with Lady Nysera, a little bit about that and their motivations. Concerns. They're concerned with Smigmol. So Smigmol, she's the commander of the Broken Tower, the ruins of the Temple of Elemental Evil. Up top is that Tower of Bandits, and she's their commander. And she does come into Nulb sometimes with her men for various reasons. For her, she has a great network of assassins and brigands before even joining the Temple of Elemental Evil. She has her own article. Every leader in the Temple of Elemental Evil has an article with background, lore, personality, everything you need to know about them and their activities. And that's how I was able to write the leadership module for DM's Guild. So that's a very valuable resource. More dialogue. So see, they're really weary of Smigmol. They're kind of terrified of her. So I have introduction when they first meet them, dialogue. Then the first encounter with Eric, the father that lost his daughter, dialogue again. So I got dialogue in both of these articles. And on the right-hand side are all the characters I developed so far with no stat blocks yet, which I need to do. I'm not so sure if I should write separate articles per character. I don't know how important that is in this campaign. I only like writing separate articles for a character if they're reoccurring and they're important. And also there's a possibility they might come in some kind of combat. So if people request it, I can do it. So it's a lot of articles. And I'm very adamant of doing this right. And so that's why there's so many of them. All right, so it looks like Randy hasn't joined us yet. So let's go ahead and talk about. So I finished that up today. And there's the quest on the right-hand side right there, the link to the quest. So this is valuable. So this adds Ren to the campaign to know, legitimately adds them. Following lore, Greyhawk lore. It's not, I don't just make stuff up. I add stuff, but I don't make it up from the blue. I make sure I follow every lore. And I also, like I just asked you guys, what do you think? I get a lot of feedback. And I get a lot of feedback from other Greyhawk lore experts out there that are not part of the Patreon either. Okay, so we did that. Let me go ahead back to the main page. What else did I do during the week? I did a lot of little minor updates. When I find something, I'll update it. Nothing really to comment about. Twilight Falls isn't quite done yet because I was getting through Twilight Falls, like the 13th location. And then I realized I need to get Nold done, the module, so I can publish it. Because I haven't published anything on DM's Guild in about 3 months now, since Christmas. 4 months? Dang, I need to get it out. I'm on page 65 right now. I wish I could show it to you, but I'm not on that computer. It's a different computer. So these dungeons, real quick. That's the Ancient School Ruins from the first module of Living Greyhawk in the area, called Noble Ambitions. Great module. And I'm rewriting these for this campaign. So those modules are written for that timeline. It has nothing to do with the Temple of Elemental Evil because it's 594 Common Year. It's all in the past. Well, I think these are great adventures. They're interesting. It adds the Game of Thrones politics to the Temple of Elemental Evil. It just needs to be rewritten, adjusted, like the timeline and stuff like that. Just this ancient Shul temple. So Lady Eleanor of House Osbury lost the jewels of Osbury during the Temple of Elemental Evil first uprising, before the Battle of Emerald Meadows, when their lands were overrun. Asbury Meadows was overrun, and they're located right there, Osbury domain. So they were overrun, and all they were looted. So it's a very poor holding, just east of Penwick. And she got rumor, a tip off, that they found the jewels, and she wants to hire the players to go find them and return them. This is like the first. I start my players off at the city of Verbobonc, and it's the very first quest they do before they do anything else, before they get to Hamlet. So it's a first level dungeon. It's a 2-level dungeon. The second level is killer. The players usually don't go down there unless you go into the pit traps and say goodbye. This is an orc tribe. This is an orc tribe, the Howling Moon. I created, these are very small thorps on the edge of the fens. They live off the fens of harvesting herbs. I just needed to have one there. Vassaltor is a small lizardman village. Both maps are done. No, I'm sorry. The top map is done. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Below that is that green dragon. And there's another dragon up in the forest. But I want to look at this. So this is Vassaltor. I did a whole video on this already. See all the locations in the small town. So the brigands and bandits of Nolb and the Temple of Elemental Evil agents that they know about this place. See how the map is done? I didn't interact it yet. I need to add interactive tags to it. Maybe I did. I don't remember. Anyway, there's an ancient ruin of a lizard king, and with great magics. So if the bandits find out about it, the Temple of Elemental Evil agents find out, it's gonna be a mad scramble, a mad race to get there and loot the place. But there is a black dragon guarding the place. So if the players find out about it, and an agent of Verbobonc is here too, trying to trade with the lizardmen, so it's gonna be like a big 4-way or a 5-way of a race to get to these ruins, deal with the dragon. Can you imagine if the brigands got there first and made a deal with the dragon, or the agents of Temple of Elemental Evil? That'd be bad, really bad. Like Canon Belsernig of the Water Temple. These are the swamps. Water Temple, that's their domain. They very easily could be there and take advantage of the situation. So anyway, they're all lizardmen leaders and shamans and hunters and gatherers, and it's all detailed out. I just haven't finished the second level yet, the map. So most of the town's below ground. So the buildings you see up top, the reed huts, that's only a small portion of the village. And of course, you have a whole bunch of adventuring hooks too for you to expand your campaign. Now, I feel like I'm repeating myself because I talked about this before in a previous video. Lizardmen are a wandering monster, and the players are going through the Fens of Tor to get to the Shul ruins. And they encountered a lizardman hunting group, like 4 of them. Well, the players actually did not interact with them, and they avoided them. They didn't attack them. So there wasn't any discourse. They could very easily have betrayed themselves as traitors, been escorted to the village, and learn about the village. But they didn't do that. But it's always possible in the future that could happen. You never know. You never know what your players are going to do. Like maybe on their way back, or maybe they'll go to Nolb and hear some rumors, and they might want to follow up on that. So you can escalate things. When they get to Nolb, maybe the bandits, they missed. So yeah, the players missed their opportunity. They were there, they went right past it, and they missed out. So they're not first there. So when they finally get around to getting to Nolb, they'll be higher level. Too late. So they're hearing rumors. The bandits are all excited. They're all over going there. They're gearing up, ready to send out an adventuring party. The players will hear about that. or maybe they'll hear a rumor they've already left. In fact, excuse me, Tolub already left. He goes, "Where's Tolub?" "Yeah, he's off with his adventuring group. He's in the fence of Tor. He found some treasure." These ruins he's plundering. So the players might hear about that. Anyway, so many things can happen in the campaign. So during the week, it's so hard to remember everything I did, but I updated a few places. But I've been working on the map for Baroness's Manor. Let's take a look at that. I think I redid her artwork. Yeah, I redid the art. That's a lot better. So that's new artwork for the manor itself with the fountain. Stark. It looks really sinister. And there's her guard. So it's a big place. There's the grand hall. So I can see the players going there for an audience. There's the barracks of the Iron Talons for men. And that's Sir Torval. He was a seneschal retainer to her before the fall of the house. So he's not too happy. Why am I a nob? So the players could take advantage of that. I added this dungeon. So I got spoilers. Look at that. And more spoilers. The hidden basement. What's down there? I'm not going to show you. It's a secret. So that's a cool picture. I did that earlier in the week. I remember now I did that picture. More cartoony, but it looks really cool. Took me some time to get the Raven right. Anyway, that's a cool place. So, as I was updating the picture, I realized, I need a map. Because it very well could be a big showdown there in the campaign if the players and her butt heads. Or what if some of the players got into their head to sneak in there for some quest or another? Go through her belongings, get into the basement, rescue somebody, get some evidence. So much can happen in this game. So much. That's why I give plot hooks to every single article in NPC. There's so much you can do. It's crazy. It's quite possible for them to spend months playing this campaign and never actually getting into the dungeon. There's other dungeons out there, like the Noble Ambitions one, the Ancient Soul quest. There's also, let's look at the map again. So we didn't quite go over all the dungeons yet. I did this before in other videos, but who knows who's watching now, right? Let's go back to the main map here. Let's see. There's the Eastern Viscounty map, and there's the main Viscounty map. Let's look at the main Viscounty map. It's different scale. The main Viscounty map, each hex is a league. And the eastern one and the southern one, each hex is 1 mile. And I have keyed lore somewhere. Dang it. Where'd it go? Yeah, right there. So I always add the scale in the corner of the map. Okay, so we need to open it up to DM only locations. There we go. So there's a lair of the green dragon. We talked about her a lot all week, and I created an article. I don't think I reviewed this one yet. Can I right click? No. Okay, we'll do this. Doop, and read full article. Or right click, go to new tab. Haha. Okay, so this is the lair. Whew, she's got a lot of history here. Randy, did you show up? No, Randy's not here yet. Okay, so this is the lair of this ancient dragon. It's been around a long time, originally from the Welkwood. We got a 5e stat block for the dragon. The dragon's horde. Influence. So this dragon's different. So see the picture of her? She hangs out. I think she hangs out with as a traveling bard. So you can easily find her at a tavern or with a group or even that Wren group. And she causes a lot of trouble. She causes trouble for the elves, for the Gnarly Rangers, for the Viscounty, everywhere. And she actually has a cult that worships her, which is a bunch of kobolds and goblins at that lair. And so it's all written out here, by the way. The right-hand side is just flavor text of what it's like to get there for the first time, when you first get to the lair. And she talks to them. So future hooks and campaign hooks, conclusion. So it's all here. Close that. Yeah, okay. I thought I had a picture of what it looked like inside the lair, but I guess I didn't do that. Is there a link? No. Oh, there's a link for her. Okay, let's look at her article. Okay, that's her article. So that's what she looks like in her natural state. And flavor text again. Everything you need to know about her, including what a dragon is. And all her stats. And, well, Dungeon Master reference. She's 200 years old. And she's got history going back to Welkwood. And we had a lot of discussion about her and this other dragon that's on the cover. I don't have it in front of me. Sorry. The Gary Gygax's third book 3. Joseph Block just did a review on it. Anyway, there's a dragon on the front cover, and we don't know who's riding that dragon. So if you guys know, let us know, because Hologant wants to know, because he's writing up that background. So I laid out in careful detail all her relationships with all the factions. Now the Rangers, the Druids, the Elves, everything you need to know. So I broke this down into 2 areas. So it's before 576 and after 576, because this character is written for 594 and up, Living Greyhawk timeline. So I divided this article in 2, before and after, so you can use it for the Temple of Elemental Evil campaign. And then after 576 is possible future events for you as a DM to consider. The Band of the Silver Spear is just a player group that Hologant was running in 591 Common Year, right there. So that's her. Okay, let's go back to the map. Here we go. Okay, so back to the map. This location right here is Riverguard Keep, and it's basically an abandoned keep on the river that guards the edge of the gnarly forest and the south end of the Fens of Tor. There's a lot of history going back with the Lizard King. But anyway, this is abandoned. And so the Water Temple took it over. So that's another location for the Water Temple to hang out at. That's where their men are. And they got boats. And Tolub is a high-level member of the Water Cult and his crew. So they go there all the time in this boat. They hang out there. Base of operations besides Boatman's Inn. And I got Riverguard, the map and the description, everything is in the Wizards of the Coast module called the Princes of the Apocalypse. It's not a very good module, but the locations are cool. You can have to rekey it. I probably will do that eventually when I get around to it, to rekey it and get it up on here for you guys. So you don't just have to rekey the monsters, you have to rekey the lore to fit this campaign. You gotta remember, Princes of the Apocalypse is for Forgotten Realms. Nothing to do with the Temple of Elemental Evil or Greyhawk. So it has to be rewritten completely. Anyway, right here is the Moat House. You guys know all about that. And I didn't put the that Fens, the cottage I keep talking about. See, that's the high road. The high road goes from Hamlet to Nob. Right here where my cursor is, just north of the Moat House, is that cottage. That's the staging area where those 4 knolls are at. That's where it's at. I need to add that to the map. I haven't done that yet. Edders. So Edders is a small hill mountain range just north of Hamlet. They're not really mountains. There's tall hills. So this is a tower. Another location from that module, Prince of the Apocalypse. And that's where the Fire Cult is. And they're summoning something. They're bringing balance back to nature, and they're pretending to be druids. And so they put word out throughout the gnarly. They invited all the druids to come attend this great ceremony. They're going to summon this wicker thing. It's going to be great. It's going to be bad. I'm going to eliminate all the druids in one fell swoop. Okay, so just south of Hamlet, which is what? 3 miles south, is the Sacred Stone Monastery. An abandoned monastery, mountainside, hillside, stone monastery. Well, the Earth Temple found it, and they moved in. So not only are these temples are in the dungeon of the Temple of Elemental Evil, but they have outposts out there, much like the Moat House. They sent Larth out there from the Temple of Elemental Evil to an outpost to conduct raids and recruit and do all this stuff that they're doing, right? And trying to draw attention away from Nulb. Well, these lesser temples are doing the same thing. And so you have raids, and guess what they did? You know, that Gift of Beauty that's heading towards this south down to Selene border. The Gift of Beauty got this far. It's halfway between Ostwerk and the Selene border. That's where the raid took place. And guess what this place is right here to the west? That's the Knoll Fort. That's where all the Knolls came from in the Moat House, that cottage, the hunting cabin, and also the Temple of Elemental Evil forces. This is where the Knolls came from. The Knoll King is collaborating and working with the Temple of Elemental Evil. Lareth is instrumental in recruiting, setting this up in recruiting. So that could backfire on the temple because Lareth really is an agent of Loth. So that could be bad. Anyway, the raid was here. So they took the raid past the Knoll Fort. They didn't bring it there. So the raid consists of Earth Temple raiders and priests and some Knolls. So they took it north through the Cron Hills until they got to here, to Sacred Stone Monastery. So that's where it's being held. Now, I think ultimately they probably want to take that Gift of Beauty to the Temple of Elemental Evil to be sacrificed. Maybe. Another campaign that somebody's running took this idea. And they said, you know what? Lareth found out about it. So Lareth hit them. It took it. They took the Gift of Beauty. So now Lareth has it. Interesting twist to the campaign. See what you can do with all this lore. Another dungeon. So if we go west, just north of Runeway Valley here, is Feathergale. So this is a tower in the Cron Hills, and that's an aviary for giant vultures and hippogriffs. Air Temple. So that's the Air Temple outpost. And they're conducting raids up and down the Long Road, the Merchant Road, and into the Greenway Valley from giant vultures. And so they're raiding. And I actually hit the players one time going down the Long Road south, past Gallows Corner. I had them hit them with giant vultures. That was a lot of fun. Players freaked out. Because you got to role play that right. You know, the players aren't watching this guy. They're just going, following the ranger, looking for bandits about to ambush them or gnolls. And so all of a sudden the shadow darkens them from above. That's the only warning they got. I asked them real quick what they're going to do. And then I hit them. So that's a lot of fun. And so down here, between Hummings and Ostwerk and Sheernab, is White Rock. So this is the Hill Giant clan. I didn't put that there. Another Dungeon Master did, Hologant, and he wrote that clan up. And, you know, he was nice enough to write this up and put a lot of lore and effort into it. That is a location in the Hill Giant raid tri-series of modules for Living Greyhawk, but it's not their permanent base in the module series. It's a temporary base they set up in this abandoned mine. And I have a VTT map for that location too. Big combat there. Well, he placed them there permanently, so that's where I placed it. If it was up to me, I'd put the clan around here somewhere by the letter E. This is brought to you by the letter E or the letter M. But that's where he put it. Anyway, they can still be there too because it's a temporary outpost and they're raiding Sheernab from there. Anyway, that's a really cool series of modules I need to rewrite as well. If any of you guys are running this campaign currently and you need help with it and you need this stuff, let me know and I can try to get you some of my notes. I can't actually give you a module from Living Greyhawk because it's copyrighted, but I've written them over with my notes that I can share with you if you want. But I'm not going to share it publicly until I rewrite the entire adventure and make maps for it and artwork. I guess that's all the locations so far. So these are extra locations. There's more locations than this in my campaign besides this. I got some goblin caves, these side quests. I got down here on my south map, there's ancient ruins for shrine, and that's pretty another little abandoned castle there. That castle right there is Ostfirk Manor. There's a lot going on in this campaign. Lots of, even Ostfirk has 24 quests. You'd be busy down here for a while. In my last campaign, they were down there till like session 25, and then they started heading north again. So, okay, let's see if he showed up. If anybody has any questions in the live stream, please type it in YouTube. And I don't know why I don't see any questions, but if you have any, you can share them. Let's see what's going on with YouTube and see if anybody's watching. Yeah, we only got a couple of viewers watching, so it looks like it's been over an hour now, and Randy has not showed up, so it looks like I'm just going to have to reschedule him for next week. I feel like I went over quite a bit here. Next week, my plan is to finish up Nob, or try to. I'm on page 65 already, and I haven't even gotten into the quest section yet, or the stat block section yet. Whew, I bet it's going to be over 100 pages. I hope the computer can handle it. It's going to be a large file. I don't know. We'll see. And I want to finish Twilight Falls, and I want to finish mapping the Baroness's Manor. That has to be done ASAP. I should work on that tonight. And I also want to ultimately finish the lower level of the Lizardman Village, so I can actually publish that as a separate module, because that's 100% me. Everything about the Lizardman Village is 100% my invention, my writing. I didn't get that. I got the idea of the Lizard King from the I2 module, but that's the dungeon, and that has to be rewritten too. It's not the Lizard King. It's another one like him that I thought would be a perfect fit for this location. I already wrote up the lore for that in history already, but you can find that on the website too. All right, let's go back to the main screen here. Doop. Looks like we're good. Okay, well, thank you for joining my live stream. I'm going to end it tonight. We covered everything I wanted to cover. I just hope that we could get a Dungeon Master on here to join us to actually talk about his campaign and find out what they're doing, because it gives other Dungeon Masters ideas of where their campaigns could possibly go. They come up with ideas of what is possible in this campaign. Well, you're welcome to join us on 3 Orcs Discord channel. We're talk about this all day long, answering questions, collaborating, working on articles and artwork and stuff. And if you come to the Patreon, you get all this artwork there too for free. But if you sign up, you get access to the higher resolution artwork that you can use to print up or share with your VTT. Well, I hope you liked this live stream. I'll be back again next week with another update of what we've done, our progress so far in this campaign. Thank you so much. You guys all have a good week, and I hope your players had as much fun as mine have. Good night.